but it wasn't in a walk. Ooh.
Was it more of a crawl?
It was not.
It wasn't really a crawl.
It was not a blowout. But it was okay. Here's Sal Capaccio with us on the Wester Hotline. Sal, what did you think yesterday?
I thought it was a struggle at times for sure. The game was very tight. Got a little too close for comfort, I think, for a lot of people. But at the same time, I think that when you go into these games, you have to understand. It's the old adage, but it's true that these are NFL teams and players. They get paid, and you can't just expect to go into a game and it's not like your local Friday night high school game where it's a big school population against a real small school. That's not the way it works in the NFL. So all it takes is a few plays here or there, and you get the kind of game they had yesterday. And then at the end of the day, the Bills did enough to win. And I think actually, looking back on it and reading the box score, I thought the numbers were a lot better than what it seemed when you were watching the game, actually.
Yeah, there's always a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a thought experiment watching a game and how tense you are. Like, I realize I'm tense. I'm like, they're not behind. They've never been, like, what am I doing here? Why am I wound up? Of course they're going to win this game. Just cut it out. But it's not as easy as you'd like. I'd like to hear you talk about your vantage point. I love asking you this. I hope you're prepared for it today, because often when was a real special play in a game, I like to where were you for that? The Cole Bishop interception. I might guess you were very close to where that play happened.
Yeah, where I stand right there at the pylon. Yep. So he caught it right in front of me. He intercepted right in front of me, and when the play first started, I saw I'm looking in the backfield. I see that it's kind of like an end around. And then I saw the other player coming, and I'm like, oh, they're going to give it him. And then I see Spencer Rattler basically running right at me. Spencer Rattler's coming right at me the way he's running that route. So I'm seeing that. So I'm not even looking to my right at that point, which would be where Cole Bishop was. Ball is in the air. I knew Spencer Rattler was there. And as I turned, I just saw Cole Bishop just kind of fly out of nowhere right in front of everybody here and just go up and get it. And it was one of those moments where everybody around me, you kind of like had wow, like I can't believe he's there, right? That collective moment there, because I don't know if people were seeing him. You can tell when an interception is going to happen if it's just like, oh, this is going to be close, and who's going to get it. But he just jumped out of nowhere, and it was right in front of me. What I was impressed with in the moment was that he held onto the ball getting up that high with one hand initially, right? Like that was the first thing. And then you realize he came down in bounds, and then he got up and ran, which was interesting. I'm watching his speed. He's staying in bounds. Then later, going back and watching it, that's when you get impressed with, oh, he came from that spot and read it. Like, right. That's crazy. The athletic play to me was what really stood out, to start it. But when he flashed in front of me, I think me and everybody kind of around that area kind of didn't really see that, because we were all kind of focused on what the Saints were trying to do there.
You say that the numbers made the game feel better for you. A couple areas where I know you wouldn't say that would be 11 penalties and the 189 rushing yards allowed. The Bills are now 1 yard off the league lead for most rushing yards allowed through 4 weeks, just behind Chicago. Can you rest easy about that, given the guys who are missing, or not?
No, I think it's got to improve, no doubt. I'm not going to sugarcoat that part of it, but I'll say that I do think guys missing is a part of it. I also think it's just kind of how the Bills are built a little bit, right? We've talked about this. They kind of make teams grind a little bit, and they're going to grind, and they're going to make you work a little bit for what you get, and then suddenly they come up with a big play. It's not that they want the teams, they don't want teams to run for 180 yards against them. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that, you look at the numbers in the pass game. They just really locked down in the passing game, and okay, so they're not going to do that now. To me, playing a team like the Saints yesterday, they have less of a threat as a passing team because they have a young quarterback, so maybe they should have been more buttoned up and better against the run. I do think it will help tremendously to get both Ed Oliver and Matt Milano back. I think one guy is one thing, but when you start to pile this up and you have both these guys who are in the middle of your defense, that can really add up there. What I was impressed with, and when I went back and looked, though, was the overall yardage. Whether you get it by running or passing, the Saints had less than 300 yards. They had 4.6 yards a play. It's a pretty low number in the NFL. They kept it to 19 points. So 11 penalties is a really tough number. A lot of self-inflicted stuff. I just thought that went hand in hand with what I felt was a lack of focus. And I don't know if you want – that's the word I'll use, preparedness, readiness for certain moments. Going a little up-tempo. You knew the Saints were going to do that. 10 men on the field, not getting substitutions. Those are things that that's non-negotiable. Like, you can't have 10 men on a field. You can't be not ready when they're going up-tempo and you can't get your substitutions in. Now, Sean McDermott was upset a couple times, and one of the reasons he used a timeout, people were upset about timeouts, but he had to use a timeout. And one of the reasons was he felt the Saints actually subbed, so the Bills should have a chance to sub.
Right.
So that's fine. But I just thought that those are the things that you can't let happen, and that was happening to them.
Right. That's what he was upset about, Mike, when Bernard was hurt. When he went out on the field and was still yelling at the refs, it was just after that had happened. He had to burn that time out, and on the broadcast they had said like he thinks he should have had a chance to sub, and he didn't get it, so that's why he's been in the year of the referee.
I guess if you're a coach, you can just go out on the field now. Because you don't see ever that – nobody ever says anything about that anymore, right? Like – the
referees, the officials will tell you to get back or whatever. But I mean, he was pretty hot, no doubt. And I think when you're trying to get somebody's attention, but yeah, I mean, how many times you see? A lot of times the sideline warning, maybe we wouldn't even see that anymore.
No,
but no. The Bills knew that the Saints would run up tempo. They run more no huddle than any team in the NFL. But the rule is, so everybody understands what's happening here. The rule is when the offensive team substitutes, that's when the referee stands and holds on the ball to make sure the defensive team has a chance to substitute. If the offensive team doesn't substitute, then they can just go. And McDermott felt the Saints subbed. And a lot of times, and what Eric Wood said, this is an old Patriots trick. He said when you get down in the red zone, they have kind of ways that they do it, and it's kind of sneaky, and they get guys on the field, and the officials don't see it, so they let them go. So I think McDermott was upset about that, and that's why he had to use a timeout.
Well, speaking of getting guys back, like Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, what's the lowdown today? Because there's a lot. Plus, there's guys that are eligible to come off IR now, beginning this week, and you've got is the practice window opening for the suspended guys too? So there's a lot of not that impacts the roster for now. It's still a couple of weeks away, but a lot of machinations may be happening.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start with anything in the immediately. The punter, Cameron Johnson, he's dealing with a foot and ankle injury, and that was a pretty tough injury to watch, as you guys saw. Yeah. He's going to miss some time. They're going to sign a new punter at some point here. Sean McDermott said he's going to miss some time, and they'll work out punters. So they'll bring somebody in. They'll sign somebody. We'll see, where that goes. That was tough. Good for him that he was able to – he actually went back in the game and helped.
Yeah, right.
So good for him to do that. And after the game, we spoke to him, and I asked him how he was doing, and he said he felt good, but they're going to do more imaging, and obviously that led to that. I heard Zach, not to correct, and I don't know, I could have been wrong. I heard Zach say Cam Lewis. I think when he said Cam, he was referring to Cam Johnson, because I don't think there's anything with Cam Lewis, but I could be wrong, and I didn't get that. When I was trying to figure it out right before I went on with you guys, but I don't think anything with Cam Lewis, but I could be wrong on that. I think he said Cameron, and then Cam meaning Johnson, but either way, I think that's all, because there's nothing else on anybody else during the game, noteworthy injury-wise. Okay, so Maxwell Harrison, Tyler Bass, and even Tylan Grable, they're all eligible to start practicing this week. McDermott sounded as if, we're probably not going to do that yet, but he didn't say that. He basically said, we'll see where it goes and we'll evaluate everything, and he's got to talk with the trainers and those kinds of things. So we'll see how that goes going forward as far as Oliver and Milano, day by day. Spencer Brown, too, day by day. We'll see on Wednesday if they're able to practice. This is kind of the same thing we've heard, though, for the last couple of weeks, especially on Milano, and they have not been out there. On the suspended players, so what I learned last week was, I believe, and that now not all suspensions are created equal, and this is why there's a little bit of ambiguity here, guys. So because it was halfway through their suspension, 3 weeks last week, that's when they were allowed to return to the facility. So Hoyt and Ogunjobi were back at the facility last week, but I don't believe they're allowed to practice until after the suspension is up, which is week 6. So I don't think that's the case. But as I said, all suspensions aren't created equal, because I think Rashee Rice, his suspension is personal conduct. Their suspensions are PED, and I know Rice can't start practicing until then. So I just want to make sure and try to get more info on Wednesday on that.
Very good. Sal, thanks for your time today. We'll talk in a couple days.
All right, you got it. Thanks, guys.
There's Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. His appearance is brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
What is your outlet? Let's talk some more about this game.
Guitars are my outlet. Nothing against outlet liquor. I like booze just fine too.
You know whose outlet isn't Guinness? Greg Olson.
Right.
I was trying to think. So Greg Olson, the former tight end who was in the booth for Fox, he had the game in Ireland, and he said he had, on that trip, had a Guinness for the first time. And, how was it? And he's like, I don't need another one. I just felt like I'm in Ireland, I should have a Guinness. And so, it's not like everybody drinks beer or everybody has had a Guinness.
And not everybody that likes to drink beer likes dark beer.
No, but you might have tried it.
Sure.
Because it's so popular and ever-present, omnipresent Guinness. So I was trying to think, what's the thing in my life that everybody else has done or eaten or drank or whatever it is? Like I'm in the smallest minority of anything in life as somebody who has not done a thing.
Not having seen the Blues Brothers.
You're going to answer for me. Well, I'll tell you, I don't have an answer. I couldn't really think of anything. You never saw Forrest Gump.
I did eventually see it with the kids.
That's out then. But movies, right? Everybody might have a movie that everybody else has seen, but they never have.
For a long time, Forrest Gump was that for me. But when the kids were, 10 and 12, we sat down and watched it one night.
I had a friend who claimed he'd never seen The Wizard of Oz. And I think that that's more amazing than any other movie would be.
I agree.
To have never seen The Wizard of Oz. But I've seen The Wizard of Oz. I've seen these movies. I don't know. It isn't a beer, I'm pretty sure, or a drink. I don't like every drink, but I've tried most things. Food, too. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I've hiked mountains. It's not something I do every day, but, I've been in the ocean.
Yep.
I don't know, what's the thing that... I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Because Greg Olson would be in the small percentage of people that had never tried a Guinness.
I think my Blues Brothers answer has got a chance.
Maybe. I've never had any desire to see it.
You're really missing out.
Am I still... It's 2025. Am I really missing out not having seen a movie that's 50 years old?
I would just tell you, whether you hate the idea, can't stand Dan Aykroyd and or John Belushi, or have a Carrie Fisher problem, watch it just for the music. The musical performances in the movie are incredible.
Okay.
And not just them. There's John Lee Hooker is in there, and Ray Charles is in there, and Aretha Franklin is in there, and it is just incredible.
I don't think I knew that.
It is. It's a piece of work. Really, really great.
Okay. Well, that's helping me. But then it'll be something else.
Yeah.
803-0550. Football Monday continues next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.